How's it going, YouTube? Raj here. Today I'm going to be doing a review on a fragrance from the house of Escentric Molecules. This fragrance is called Molecule 03. So if you don't know about this house, basically they have three fragrances in their range at the moment. They've all got different numbers. First one is called 01, then 02, then 03. Within that range, they'll then have two fragrances, one called the Molecule and one called Escentric. The one which is called the Molecule, so Molecule 03, will contain just one note. The one which is called Escentric will have that same one note, but it will build on it by adding a few other ingredients in there. So this one is Molecule 03. So in 01 there was ISOE Super. 02 contained ambroxan, which is supposed to smell like recreate the scent of ambergris. This one contains something which is called Vetiveryle Acetate, or Vetiveryle Acetate. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, it's supposed to recreate the notes of vetiver. So this is a synthetic ingredient. This is an aroma-chemical. The fragrance comes in one size, 100 ml, and will cost you $145, or that's about £70. I was working off a 5 ml decant, and I have to say my first impression of this is exactly the same as my last, and that impression is not a good one. I have to say I wasn't impressed with this fragrance. Molecule 03 just did nothing for me, did absolutely nothing for me. Quite boring. Really boring, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give it a fair review. I have to do that. I'm not here to just bash the fragrance, but I don't like it. So it starts off okay, yeah, it starts off alright actually. It starts off quite fresh. Definitely does remind you of vetiver. It's amazing what they can do nowadays with synthetic notes, and those synthetic notes are found everywhere in all fragrances, and yeah, you definitely get the feel of a vetiver. As the fragrance develops, it soon became obvious to me that this fragrance is like it's like a man standing in a desert. It's like a skeleton without the flesh, It has different facets and different features of a vetiver note, and I guess you have to give it credit for that. But it's just not as good as the real thing. And it kind of leads me to think that this fragrance is actually kind of pointless to me. Okay, so it has this fresh opening, kind of spicy. Vetiver sometimes reminds me of ginger, to be honest. And yeah, it does have that in it. As the fragrance then develops, you get a slight smokiness, but it doesn't compare to so many other fragrances out there. It's not even that smoky. It wants to be smoky, but it's not. It's very restrained, very stripped back, and of course this is a one note or one ingredient fragrance. So I wasn't expecting it to be in depth and multi-layered, but I wasn't even impressed. It did have different as I said, features and characteristics of a vetiver note, but nothing that got me excited, and it kind of faded on my skin. There's kind of almost no sillage, I would say. Projection, not too much. I could pick it up. After a few hours, it became a skin scent, which is not always a bad thing. But when I don't like the aroma or the scent, then it does become a bad thing. And it has okay longevity. We're talking about 5 or 6 hours on my skin. Now, admittedly, I've only sampled this in the colder months. I think it actually is suited more to a colder. It is more of a colder weather fragrance, but I haven't tested it in when it warms up. So maybe this review isn't the most fairest. There you go. In the base, actually, it does kind of feel a little bit interesting. It does remind me of cedarwood at this point. A very dry cedarwood. This dryness, which was in the opening, is starting to come back a little bit, and it feels quite woody. Vetiver is a great note, and I don't think that this aroma chemical does it justice. In this book, if I can get a close up here. So this is called Quintessentially Perfumed. They have an interview with Geza Schön. Geza Schön is the creator of this fragrance, and I won't go into the whole thing, but basically the topic of synthetic versus natural comes up, and he says in general he says in general we have to come away from the idea that natural is always good and chemicals are all bad. It does not really matter what origin a material has, as long as it works. I totally agree with him, you know. Definitely, you know, so many fragrances nowadays are synthetic, and just because a fragrance is natural doesn't necessarily make it better. But he says here that the origin doesn't matter as long as it works. This fragrance doesn't work. You know, I can think of 100 different vetiver fragrances which have much more body and are surrounded by other notes which just make it a much better fragrance. Encre Noire by Lalique and L'Occitane's vetiver are two that come to mind. Guerlain's vetiver, that has an intense smokiness to it. Selder vetiver from the different company, that's going to be my next, my first purchase from the different company. Of course you've got Chanel's Sycamore. The list goes on. There's so many better ones than this. It feels like what they've tried to create here is kind of pointless because there's so much better fragrances out there in the market. And look at the price. I mean, $145 for 100 ml for a fragrance that contains one ingredient, £70. You got to be kidding me, to be honest. That's just the way I feel, you know. At the end of their description, it says, "Vetiver lovers, your ship has come in." No, it hasn't. I don't know what ship they're talking about. I'm not on that ship. I'm not even in that ocean. I just don't like it. I really don't. And this is why I buy decants, you know. This was actually a blind buy decant. I didn't know what it smelled like before. I don't think I'll be doing that in the past. I'll definitely try and smell the fragrance first, then buy a decant. So I wouldn't recommend this at all. That's how it goes sometimes. You win some, you lose some. So let me know, guys, what do you think of this house? Do you agree with the philosophy, what they do? Do you find this fragrance actually quite good? Do you prefer this to many other natural vetivers on the market? It would be it's always great to hear your views and great interacting with everyone. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.